flat. It's currently at an angle right now, so we're gonna wanna coast it back down to 0. The number in the middle of the screen will be constantly changing to represent where it is between the 2 points on the sides. Once it's back down to 0, or at least in the single digits, you can stop it again, and then that will make it the easiest to fit for the leg length. What we need is for the patient to be laying back as flat as possible, preferably on the bed or a long couch. Gently support the leg and then move the machine into place underneath the leg until the bend of the knee is about right there. We want the bend of the knee measured from the back, not the kneecap. Kneecap can be a little misleading with how it kind of floats around. Bend of the knee is center with these black joints on the sides. Typically what I do is I feel the groove of the bend of the leg and I slowly trace outward with my fingers, and then we want as center with these joints as possible. This is where the machine bends, so if you line up where he bends with it, everything's moving together as it should be.
So you adjust that?
You adjust that by just moving the machine itself.
Oh, shove it.
These we adjust after that, and we shorten this down.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that the toes can touch here, but we don't want the heel to touch here. It can rest in this little hammock, but we don't want the full foot flat against this part here. Otherwise, when the machine's in motion, it'll be pushing the leg up and pressing it on the swelling in its joints. That's going to cause discomfort as opposed to alleviating discomfort, and we don't want that. But once you've got it set, get the knobs tightened down as good as you can get them. So in theory, you don't have to worry about that again. Then all you have to do is when you put the leg in, if your toes touch but the heel doesn't, the bend of the knee should be lined up where it needs to be. So it's the only thing to be on the lookout for. And then everything else will be on the hand remote. So once this is powered, we'll have a number on the left with the flat leg representing the low point, the extension, and that should be 0. The number on the right with a bent leg should be the high point, the flexion, and that should be at 50. And then the number in the middle represents where it is between those 2 points, and it'll be stopped wherever you have it stopped at. It might bounce back and forth between a couple. When it's stopped, it's just a little touchy on where its positioning is. So it's very common to see it go from 0 to -2 up to 3, kind of just bouncing around. But as long as it says stop, it's not going anywhere. It's just kind of positioning. So low point, high point. To adjust those, we've got these 2 knobs here. However, out of the 2 and really out of the 4, the only one you need to worry about is this one right here. That's going to adjust the flexion, and the idea is to gradually increase over time with what we can tolerate. It's currently set at 50. Most patients when they leave the hospital are around 40 when they leave. You've got a bit of a drive, so we're probably going to want to bring it down to 30 at least. So to adjust, push in and rotate the knob at the same time. If you don't push in when you rotate, it's just going to freeze spin, so you can't just bump it and accidentally crank it up all the way. So we're going to bring it down to 30, see how that feels.
But he's not going to have this on while we're driving.
No.
That's when he gets home?
Yes.
But because it's a couple of hours. But because it's a couple of hours, like he'll kind of
getting a bit of stiffness and swelling in the joints. So going straight for 40 might be a little uncomfortable. So we kind of back it down a little bit from there, and then the next day we'll start to slowly work on increasing over time with what you can tolerate. We can't give a set number to increase it by each day because everyone recovers differently. So we just say set his own pace, go with what he can tolerate. We want him to be comfortable in the machine at all times. We also want to feel like it's doing something for him too.
Okay.
So we just kind of urge to find that little bit of strain that shows that he's pushing his limits, because once that strain is gone, that will let him know you can take it up a little bit higher. As far as the other 3 knobs go, this will adjust the low point, the extension, unless the doctor or the therapist say otherwise. That's pretty much just going to stay at 0. We always want it to come back down flat. So that's fine to hang out where it is. These 2 are preferential settings. They're not going to make or break his recovery in any way. They're just there for comfortability. They don't show up on the screen unless you push in on the individual knob. And for the most part, they're pretty much set for the standard. They very rarely get adjusted themselves. The snail is speed, and if you press it on that, that should be at 50%, which is right in the middle and relatively slow. The hourglass is a delay, and if you push it on that, that should be at 0 seconds. That's how long the machine's going to hold at the bottom and the top before it changes direction.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If you'd like to adjust either of those 2, you can, but they're totally fine being left alone. We just need to stress that the hourglass is a delay and not a timer, because that leads to a little confusion. And then the snail, or the speed, isn't really going to affect anything, but the faster it's set at, the more noise it's going to generate. So it's just something to consider. The only other thing that I would say on the hand remote that we don't normally cover, because it's not that big of an issue, but since we're recording it, it doesn't hurt to have that note there. Sometimes you'll go to adjust the settings and there will be a little lock there instead of a stop or an arrow. What that's telling you is, well, the settings got locked. And typically what happens is the hand remote was close by while the patient was sleeping, and these 2 knobs got pressed and held down. That's how you lock it, and that's how you unlock it. You press and hold both these knobs at the same time, roughly 3 to 7 seconds, until you see an unlock symbol,
okay.
And then you're good to adjust again.
Gotcha.
Then everything else will be the recommendations, like for usage for the machine.
Like how often? Or...
Yeah. There's nothing set in stone for the machine. There's just basically, the recommendation is at least an hour at a time whenever you use it. At least an hour will give the most benefit out of each use. As far as when to use it goes, in my experience, you can't really overuse the machine. The doctors just don't want you to use this as a substitute for getting up and moving around, doing exercises, or going to physical therapy, because those activities, doing them to the best of their ability, will be the best thing for their recovery. This is primarily for use in the downtime. So like any point throughout the day that they'd already be sitting down relaxing, great to keep the leg in motion. Right before physical therapy or at-home therapy exercises, if you use this first, it will loosen the leg up and make those easier, kind of like stretching before exercising. They'd no doubt be resting after those activities as well. They can use it afterwards. Again, just keeping the leg in motion while we're taking a breather. And then if they can tolerate it, sleeping with this running throughout the night is really great. It's X amount of hours that the leg would otherwise be stiff and unmoving and swelling overnight, whereas in this, it's keeping the leg in motion, keeping the leg from locking up and giving a fresh start to the morning. It's just some patients can't sleep on their back, or they can't sleep with the distraction of their leg moving all night. If for whatever reason they find they just can't sleep with this, right before bed, and then again when they wake up in the morning, I will sort of make up for it. Other than that, that is essentially it for the machine. It's fairly straightforward, pretty user-friendly.
Yeah,
it's just
like
a handful of things that we got to touch on.
All right, thank you.